Okay, so today we're going to talk about one of the more frequently asked questions about match coverage that I receive, and that is, what is the primary difference between a cover 3 and a cover 4 match? Now, I'm going to be totally honest with you, it's a little bit complicated to explain all of the differences between these formations, but I do have them broken down in totality on my strategy website, gridirongameplans.gg. Furthermore, if you guys are subscribed right here to the channel, there is more than enough free content covering both of these types of coverages that you can learn them inside and out, so you can have them at your disposal whenever you need them. Now, one of the things that I think any good defense needs is the correct coverage checks. So we're going to be talking about how the running back is handled in these two defenses, because what I like about match coverage is that we can neutralize vertical attacking threats, whether they then break to the post or the corner. Because one of the main things that you'll notice about match coverage, whether it is quarters or cover 3 match, is that it does a phenomenal job of neutralizing vertical attacking threats, whether that's a streak, a corner, or a post. Oftentimes, those are the problematic routes that most players tend to struggle with. And then it comes down to, can you stop the check down game? And these two coverages are very different as it pertains how to defend the running back or those pesky drags that a lot of players like to throw. So let's go ahead and get into how cover 3 match behaves. So let's go ahead and get into how cover 3 match behaves against different spacing formations on offense. So this is what we would call a 2-by-2 offensive formation. 2 receivers to the left, 2 to the right, running back in the backfield to the left or the right, does not matter. Now, the key difference between a cover 3 match-based defense and a cover 4 match-based defense, outside the obvious that you have more deep zones that can match in a cover 4, is that the way that we handle the underneath stuff in a cover 3 match is totally reliant on what type of formation our opponents come out in. As we just mentioned, this is a 2-by-2. One of the things that you need to know about cover 3 match is that our flat zones, the guys that you would traditionally think are responsible for the running back if he were to go out to the flat, actually have a very different responsibility than they would in cover 4 match, because in cover 3 match, what they actually do is they relate to the second receiver in the formation. So in this type of formation, we're talking about both of the slot receivers. If those receivers do go vertical, they have to stay with them. Now, it doesn't matter if Njoku breaks to the corner or he breaks to the post or he just stays straight up the field. He is a player that our seam flat defender must match. So when the running back is flaring out into the backfield in this particular construct, this actually passes the responsibility of who takes the running back to this hook curl defender. Too often I see players will be in a cover 3 match style defense. They'll be playing on this defender because it's easy to jump over to this side to stop a base or an inside zone. But if this running back goes to the flat and they have Njoku going vertical, a lot of times you'll see players say, I have a flat zone out there, what the hell? As the player scampers up the field for 15 yards on a simple check down. This is because you did not execute your responsibility within the cover 3 match. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna click off of Lloyd and I'm gonna run basically the same route combo. We're just gonna put the running back to the flat, vertical, vertical. And you're gonna see that the hook defender is the one that is actually responsible for this running back. In fact, both of our hook defenders are responsible for the running back. If he goes to the right, as he did in this last example, he's gonna end up being matched by Devin Lloyd on this hook zone, which gives basically freedom to this backside hook zone to kind of be our user candidate. This is a main reason when I talk about cover 3 match, I think weak side hook is a phenomenal user candidate, because you could respond to the running back coming your way. It's going to be a Texas route. If it's a flare route behind the line of scrimmage to the left, that's easy to cover. In fact, not even really worried about that. Most players don't even do that. But you see right here that if you play match coverage, you have to understand everyone's responsibilities in order to play it correctly. If you don't know your role, you shouldn't be in the coverage. So just to kind of illustrate for you here, if I were to flip this formation, you're going to notice that Peterson is now on the short side of the field. He is still considered the third receiver to that side of the field. So what I'm going to do here is I am going to snap the ball. I'm going to click off of Gronkowski, and I want you to watch how Gronkowski is now responsible for that throw in the flat. You see that he goes out there to make a play. This is very, very different than what you would see out of a cover 4 quarters. It also, for what it's worth, makes defending the running back out of the backfield very, very tough in this regard. So let's go ahead and contrast that against the cover 4 quarters, where we're going to see a completely different rule set for our flat defenders. Now, before I get into this breakdown, make sure that you guys are not only subscribed right here to the channel, hitting that notification bell and dropping a comment in the section below so this pushes the video out in the algorithm. But if you guys are really enjoying this type of content, go over to gridirongameplans.gg. $9.95 a month unlocks everything I've done on the website. You guys could bundle college football for $5 more. We're talking all offensive and defensive game plans, weekly updated vault content talking about what pro Madden players are doing and how to stop it. And you guys get access to the best tips community in the Madden space in our Discord, where we have free lab sessions at no additional cost. Those are every Wednesday night. So make sure you guys take advantage of that as well. I'm in there hosting, taking your questions. If we don't know the answer, we'll figure it out by labbing it on the spot. And oftentimes some of those really challenging questions become future topics for the website, because if you're struggling with it and I'm struggling with it, a lot of players are struggling with it. So make sure you guys go check it out. Best deal in the tip space. Okay, so had to do that little plug there. I hope you guys do check it out. Let's talk about quarter flats here. Cover 4 quarter flats. Now, in this particular defense, quarter flats are not responsible for that second receiver going vertical. They're actually responsible for what is called a reroute, meaning they're just going to jam that second receiver's release so that the deep zones behind them can take them in man-to-man. So let's go back to that same route combo that we just broke down, where we had A to the corner, running back in the flat, and the B receiver running the runoff route. This is your standard flooding type of call. A lot of players like to run floods because it is attacking the sideline. It's away from where the user might be. So when we talk about cover 3, where our user has to go with that running back, in cover 4, this is not the case. So what you're going to see is Devin Lloyd on the right is going to jam Njoku, and then he is going to jump down in the flat as the pressure is getting home on this running back. So what you see right here is that this does a much better job of being able to take a running back flare than the cover 3 if you want to have that user in the middle of the field and not have to worry about the running back. In this particular case, a cover 4 quarters is going to be a better option for you, just because it is going to be able to have a player that at least is responsible for the flat defender. Now, these rules are strictly what we call 2x2. Anytime you have 2 receivers and a running back in the backfield to that side, this is the rule set for a cover 3 match. But not all formations are created the same, as we know. So what I want to do here is I want to break down the differences in how we're defending checkdowns and things of that nature out of 3x1. So when we talk about 3x1, we're talking about something like bunch, which has a specific set of rules and match quarters. We won't talk about that. Box check, search it. I've got content on the channel here for that breakdown, but we'll talk about kind of like a spread out version of this. So with the trips, here's the thing that you're going to notice. When we're in a cover 3 match defense, actually hold that thought. If you guys are going to mix up your cover 3 and cover 4 match, I want you guys to do me a favor and utilize the shell feature. Now, if you guys have base align on, your shell feature will not work. So make sure that your auto alignment is set to default for this. But if you flick the right analog stick at the play call menu, some formations are going to have alternate shells, meaning that we might be calling a cover 2, but if we choose cover 0, it's going to look like a man blitz. If you guys are going to pair cover 3 and cover 4 match together, it would behoove you to choose a cover 4 shell or a cover 3 shell. So that way it always looks the same, no matter if you are coming out in cover 4, it's going to show as cover 3. If you're coming out in cover 3, it's going to show as cover 3. One other thing that's kind of advanced that it's important to remember is that there is actually a bug in this game. So what I mean by that is if I show cover 3 shell and I audible after we break the huddle into a cover 4, a lot of times it breaks your shell. So if you're going to do this, make sure that you set the shell for the play that you would audible into, if that makes sense. So what I mean is if I'm coming out in cover 3 with the option to audible into cover 4, show a cover 4 shell, because what that's going to do is that's going to present your cover 3 match as a cover 4. That way, when I audible to the cover 4, it doesn't look any different. Okay, so that's how you utilize shells a little bit better. That's really important just for what it's worth, because good players know the shell tells. You see single high, you think cover 3 or cover 1. You see 2 high, you think cover 2, cover 4. So being able to disguise a cover 3 as a cover 4 is going to be really, really key. The other thing that you need to remember is that if you reset the play, your shell also resets as well. I hope EA fixes that bug. All right, now that we understand how shells work, let's talk about how we're dealing with this 1x3 in this case. So 1 to the left, 3 to the right, running back in the backfield. So as we talked about, the quarter flat in a cover 4 is kind of a reroute against 2x2. And the cover 3 match, we're going to see the seam flat on the left. This is basically going to relate to the running back. So what I mean by that is if I send the running back out to the flat, that seam flat can actually play that role because he doesn't have a second receiver on his side to worry about. This table route to the running back ran straight into the seam flat, and he jumps down in the flat on that. Now we have some other rules on the trip side. You can see my user did nothing with the red circle, so don't worry about the blown coverage here in the middle of the field. But you see that for all intents and purposes, outside of my user, everything else is guarded here in this particular play. The running back in the flat is handled. Now, what happens when we talk about the running back doing other things? So what if he runs like, let's say, a Texas route, this angle pattern out of the backfield? So in this case, you're going to see he's going to release and he's going to break over the middle. That seam flat does not have a rule to take him man to man, if you will, when he breaks over the middle. If I were to send him up the field on a seam, again, we're going to go ahead and watch. You got this seam flat. You're going to see here in this example, he will match him, but he jumped down too much in the flat, and that ended up being a little bit catastrophic. Now, that's not to fret. It's really not that different than the rule set in cover 4. So what I want to do is I want to contrast this against a cover 4. In a cover 4, whenever you have a solo receiver and 3 to the other side, the back is in the backfield on the solo receiver side. This is what we would call solo check. There is a solo receiver. So Talib is just basically a man-to-man on that receiver. It's going to look like this. And then you're going to have this player in the quarter flat, which is man on the running back no matter what. It doesn't matter if he runs that Texas route, that flat route, that streak, any route, Ramsey's on him. So that's really, really important to remember here. So I'm going to respot the ball so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. If I put the running back on a in route out of the backfield, and I put the X receiver on a smoke, I'm just trying to get something really exaggerated so you can see what I'm talking about. You're going to see that the cover 4 quarters that we're in here, watch Ramsey and watch that backside player. We snap the ball. See how the backside smoke is guarded? Now, Ramsey was way late to the party on this, but this is the benefit of being in cover 4 quarters is that now with our hook defender, I can actually make the conscious decision of, do I want to run, with the corner route, or do I want to look for the running back out of the backfield? Because as a user, I could jump this throw myself if this player gets beat over the middle. So that's just kind of an added benefit of being able to be in, a quarter style defense. Again, though, the value of this is that you need to understand the vertical matching rules for cover 3 and cover 4 as well. So let's stay with kind of understanding what the seam flat is going to do on the trip side of the field here. So that way you guys can better understand, where our flexibility is. So as we talked about in a 2x2, if the second receiver goes vertical, the seam flat must match them. So over here on the right with this safety Joseph, he's actually relating to the middle receiver, the second receiver. So if that receiver decides that he wants to run, a corner route or something here, you're going to notice that he's going to play him. Now, in terms of Watson, both of our hook defenders in the cover 3 actually relate to him. So what you see here is actually pretty cool, because what you end up with is the ability for us to have the outside hook curl on the right that will match Watson if he goes vertical and right, but the hook curl on the left is actually responsible for Watson if he goes up and left. So no matter what Watson does, he's bracketed left and right. That's one of the best parts about cover 3 match. But let's go back to kind of understanding here. If we run something like this, look at how that seam flat on the right matches. Gronk is matching the crossing route, and then that other hook curl becomes kind of the flexible player in this defense. So what do we know about the differences between cover 3 and cover 4 match? Well, we get, slightly more active slot matching on the slot receivers because the seam flats do a little bit more than quarter flats do in quarters, but it does come at the expense of the flats being tougher to guard. So certain offensive spacings in a cover 3 match is going to give up the flat a little bit more easily. That underneath throw might be there, but as you can see, if you marry your cover 3 and your cover 4 together, you present the look of, in this example, this looks like cover 4, but it rolls to cover 3 post snap. This can actually be quite beneficial for you. As you see, this smothers the field really, really well, and we haven't had to make any adjustments. Now, this is where I tell you that once you know your coverage rules, now it's time to install this into a defense that you can get pressure out of. I want you guys to go check out my 1-4 defensive game plan on gridirongameplans.gg. My good friend Medic has been in the 1-4 since September. He's labbed up 10 blitzes, which basically send 3 or 4 players at most. They're very, very consistent. And I've installed a lot of coverage rules behind those blitzes. And I think this is the best defense in the game right now. So if you guys are struggling for pressure in this game, you guys have the coverage. You guys now understand that you need something to get pressure on the quarterback. Let's go ahead and marry what you learned today with the pressure in that video. But I'm going to go ahead and end it there. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, make sure you guys like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, and I will see you guys tomorrow with our next upload. Until then, this is Zan. Get in the lab and good luck.